What do you think is the most valuable consumer packaged brand in the world? Go ahead and shout it out. Apple, P&G, what else? Lego, okay. You know, originally I thought that it was none other than Nike. I'm rocking the Jordans today, right? I thought it was Nike. I was like, they sell a lot of shoes, a lot of t-shirts, clothing. It's got to be Nike, right? They have $51 billion in revenue annually. But it's not Nike. In fact, the answer surprised me. The answer was actually Kirkland Signature by Costco. My wife, who's right up here in the front, she was like, "Can I just wear the Kirkland Signature sweater? Is that okay?" And it shocked me. It shocked me that when I go to Costco, I buy everything, right? Dog treats, toilet paper, my baby wipes, you name it. If I want to buy it, Costco has it. And it's striking, right? When you think about where we buy items from, originally, you know, let's all think about Walmart for a second. My first job was at Walmart, special place in my heart. I used to unload trucks, I know, not fancy. But part of the thing about Walmart is as I would put up everything on the shelves, as I would unload trucks, there was always something on the banner. And what was on the banner was everyday low prices. You see, Walmart's competitive value proposition is that they beat everybody on price. Amazon's actually totally different. You see, Amazon, my wife and I, we just moved home probably about 3 weeks ago. Our home's an entire mess right now. But Amazon doesn't sell on price. You see, if I wanted to buy something on Amazon, I get the one-click buy, and it's at my house the next day. We all know that, right? What do they sell on? What's their value prop? Go ahead and shout it out. Heck yeah. Convenience. That is it. And so if there's price and convenience as ways for retailers to disrupt, what struck me about Costco is not about what they do, it's about what Costco doesn't do. To tell you about that, I need to bring you a few steps back to the 1950s. There's this Jewish lawyer in the Bronx, okay? His name's Solomon Price. Good old Saul. He moves from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast and ends up in San Diego in the 1950s. Now, back then, San Diego was nothing to call home about. I hope none of you, anyone from San Diego here? Okay, good. San Diego was about 115,000 people. Saul starts his flourishing legal practice. And he finds his first client. And one of his first few clients is none other than 4-Star Jewelry. They have a bunch of retail stores. And as he digs into their business, he realizes one really unique thing. Because not only does 4-Star Jewelry sell to people, they also sell wholesale. And 70% of all of 4-Star Jewelers' purchases were by one company. Fedco. So Fedco is this nonprofit organization in the 1950s. After World War II, what happened was they got about 800 federal workers, postal workers. They pooled all of their purchasing power together. They charged them a membership, and they were able to buy things en masse. So Saul sees this, and he thinks to himself, oh my gosh, that is a business idea. That's disruption. So he says, hey, Fedco, can I please bring a Fedco to San Diego? What do you think the answer was? Yeah, nah. They're like, no, we're good. Saul tries again. He says, please, Fedco, like this is such a great idea. Let me bring this to San Diego. And they say no. The board at some point gets to this point where they're like, you know what? We don't know who you are, Saul. But we'll tell you what, we're a nonprofit. We don't actually want to make money. Why don't you go ahead and just build it yourself? We don't really care. Saul launches FedMart. FedMart, fast forward like 75 years. FedMart goes to become Price Club and then eventually becomes Costco. And I can't help but think about Costco 75 years ago with the decisions that they were making. Most people believe that our limits hold us back. But actually, the truth is that our limits set us free. And I got obsessed by asking the question, how is Costco defined by its limits? Some of y'all are like, wow, this guy really likes Costco. Number one, I've got 3 ways. Number one is they limit profit. So most retailers, what they do is they will mark up, you've got a nice t-shirt on, right? They'll mark your t-shirt up 100% and then sell it to you. They'll try to make about 35% profit margins. Costco, what they do is they actually sell things and they max their profit out at 15%. They won't take home anything else. And one of the reasons for that is, as anyone a member, by the way, while I rave about how great Costco is? Yeah, my familia! Because they're limiting their profit, they're able to just pass all of those savings directly onto you. And you start to rave about that. The second thing that they do is they limit stocking. Now, you go into Walmart or anywhere else, Superstore, most places have shelves on the space where they've meticulously put them there, right? They want you to buy them. Costco doesn't actually care that much. You see, they have a warehouse, you show up, everything's on a pallet, and it's self-service. You go ahead and pick out what you want. Nobody has to stock shelves at all. And as a result, they don't have to invest in all of the labor that's required. They can focus all of their labor towards cashiers. Not only that, when it comes to limiting stocking, any guesses as to how many items you could buy at a Walmart? At one Walmart, what do you think? Go ahead and yell it out. 60,000, 100,000. I feel like an auctioneer right now. 240,000 different items in a single Walmart. Costco? 3. You hear that? Derubin's like, 3,000. I love this story. Keep going. Yeah, 3,000. Costco has 400% less inventory than any of their competitors. You see, by focusing on the fewest amount, by limiting how much they're actually placing in the stores, they're focusing on the items that most consumers are going to buy time and time and time again. I think as Teresa and I moved into our new place, we have like 4 boxes of baby wipes now. We don't need them, but we have them. The last thing that they limit is marketing. Now, you might think that, don't get me wrong, Costco does a little bit of marketing through these mailers, right? I can't get rid of them. Teresa always hangs on to them, and she's like, we are not throwing any of these coupons out. But they also limit marketing because it's a membership-driven base, right? As we've hit the social media trend of TikToker influencers and IG and all of that, what's beautiful about it is they don't have to sell anything to you. All of the IG influencers will. And so by placing all of these limits on themselves, that's actually how they've been able to disrupt. You see, they've disrupted for the last 74 years, and it's nothing fancy. It's not AI, right? Normally I talk about AI. It's not AI. This is the most stable, flourishing company, I would argue, in the world. And what's remarkable is, in terms of how we place this for us today, it's a question of how do we leverage our limits. Number one is to widen our aperture. Identify what those limits actually are in your functions, in your careers, in your organizations, in your teams. The future of work is not going to be done in a bubble. Number two, how do we discover bridgeable opportunities? Meaning, just like Saul discovered what seemed to be unrelated, a nonprofit with 800 postal workers, how can I take an idea like that and I apply that to my life today? And then last but not least, taken from the second most valuable CPG company in the world, how do we just do it? You see, decisions that are disruptive aren't necessarily decisions that are made time and time and time again, which I get it, we're in an agile, adaptive world. But what are those decisions on limits that we can place on ourselves that will actually let us fly? Not for this decade, not for the next, but for the next 74. We drive disruption not by what we do, but by what we choose not to do. Oh, yeah. There's 2 sentiments that kind of pop up here with AI, and this is like hot off the press. The first sentiment is there's like this cool fascination. It's like, yeah, AI is pretty, AI Tracy's in the room like, yeah, I'm here. And there's this fascination, and yet there's this little hint of uncertainty. And I think why that's starting to shift the environment is because it's starting to have us ask not what's the latest anymore, but what's most valuable to me. as I run my own event planning company and as I plan events or as I host big conferences, right? I don't care about making fun Snoop Dogg videos and making him rap over some random thing, right? I want to know what's in it for me. Like, how do I apply this to my business? And so, over the next 50-ish minutes or so, here's the transformation playbook for AI. Here's what we're going to cover. Number one, how do we zoom out to zoom in? So I'm going to give you a bit of a landscape of AI right now. Number two, how do we start to work in wonder? And so as you think about the future of event experiences, right, what does that look like? And then number three, how do we start to create with care? So how do we curate events with care? Sound good? Y'all with me? Yeah. All right. Number one, zoom out to zoom in. So fun fact, this is actually the first keynote that I'm ever doing with, not my first keynote ever. The first keynote that I'm ever doing where my wife, Teresa's in the room. So she's over there, if you can just give a wave. One of the reasons I bring her up is the story's about her, and I've never actually told it with her in the room. So here we go. Please forgive me. Before Teresa and I got married, I would have considered myself a minimalist. I owned like 10 pairs of clothing, max, a suit, a laptop, that was it. And Teresa and I get married and we buy our first place. It's in Burnaby, this is the apartment. You know how it is in Vancouver, right? We don't actually have homes anymore, we just have like boxes in the sky. So we move in, we buy our apartment and it's empty. And we asked ourselves this question. We started to ask ourselves what matters most, right? And as you might imagine, as a newlywed couple, this is back in like when did we get married? 2019. Moment of awkwardness there. But we started to ask ourselves, okay, like what do we need in our house? And it was what you would expect, right? We needed a couch, we needed a TV, some kitchen appliances. Some of you like perked up when you heard kitchen appliances. I feel like there's some freaky air fryer people here in this room. I see the air fryer group. And our place started to get crowded with stuff. As the pandemic hit, we were one of those couples, right? We became puppy parents. This is Brooklyn. He's a Shiba Inu. Yeah, pain in my ass. Yeah, I was absolutely love him to death. But we asked ourselves the same question. We asked ourselves, what matters now? And same question. We were like, what do we need? We needed a crate, dog bed, toys, dog food, etc. And then throughout COVID, we didn't have anything else to do. We were locked down for... It was lonely, yeah. So Teresa and I, we got busy. And Madison comes along. And we asked ourselves the same question. What matters now? What do you think we started to get? Crib, yep. Hey, stroller. Did I hear crate? Yeah, not crates. We don't put our kids in crates. Not Maddie. Yeah, all the toys, all the stuff, right? And I'm sitting in my living room surrounded by all my stuff. By the way, some of you are all giving me that judgy look like, oh, he's one of those people on the TV show Hoarders, isn't he? But I promise you I'm not. But I'm sitting in my living room surrounded by all my stuff, and I'm realizing that I've been asking myself the wrong question. I've been asking myself the question, what matters now? When I should have been asking the question, what matters most? Why do I bring up this point? I think it's because we're inundated with noise. I heard that audible groan when you saw this slide. You're like, yeah, we are, aren't we? Why does this matter when it comes to AI? It gets even worse. Is it possible that, oh, there it is. This is the AI landscape as of February 2023. And by the way, it's hard reading it. It's a mess. It gives me a headache. Since then, the number of AI platforms has actually doubled. Yeah, to the point where I feel like I'm this panda. Take a look. And then maybe while we're doing this, can I swap out batteries for this? Is that possible? Yeah, it's hard, right? It's a hard life for a panda. And also me trying to figure out AI. This is probably the one presentation that I have to update every 2 weeks. So it's not whatever I did last 2 weeks ago, like it's not the same because AI is constantly shifting. But I took a look at 50 million GPT conversations. Yeah, you're like, wow, Jay, you have a lot of time on your hands. But I took a look at 50 million GPT conversations and I wanted to say, like, what are people using AI for now? Right? Like, where are the use cases? And here's what they came up with. Here are all the different categories. And the first one you might imagine, especially as you plan events, was image creation. And so some of you, I think every room I step into, there's a broad spectrum. Some people have never used ChatGPT before. Some of you are using it every single day. So I hope it's okay for the next like 45 minutes or so. Some of this will feel comfortable to you. And then other pieces, I invite you to say like, oh, could I apply this to my business? So when it comes to creating images, a few of the different platforms that you could take a look at, naturally Canva, a lot of you might already be playing around with Canva and generating images that way. Midjourney was kind of like the OG platform, still probably the best when it comes to creating images. I'm cheap, so Night Cafe is a really good option that's free. If you're like, hey, man, I'm a small business owner, Jay, I get it. And so Night Cafe I like because it's just free. It's accessible to everybody. If there's one thing that the last year has taught me about platforms, it's this. You can convert someone from Google Chrome to Microsoft Edge. And that was when Edge came out with embedding their designer and their Copilot function. So if you're like, Jay, I don't know anything about AI, you can actually download just the Microsoft Edge browser, and Copilot and Designer are just right in there. You can create images that way. Pretty cool. So it's accessible. But we're here in Victoria, and I was like, I would like to see what you come up with when it comes to creating an image related to the future of event experiences in Victoria. And here's what it came up with. And the first thing that struck me, I'll be honest, was the fact that they're all men. Right? Like there's a little bit of bias going on there. And I was like, oh, that's not great. But it's interesting when I ask about the future of event experiences, it starts to highlight things like augmented reality, all these dashboards in front of them. And I'm like, is that what the future of our events looks like? Right, and I'm hearing it, right? People are like, nah, man, like we're way better than that. So I asked it to try again. And I was like, can you add some more diversity? And apparently we're all speaking Chinese. And with diversity, what it interpreted that was just Asian females and like white men. And I'm like, this is kind of weird. Like this is kind of weird now. So I was like, all right, let's just try like one more time, okay? And for some reason, here's where image creation is today, right? By the way, we've got a bit more diversity, but everyone's staring into I don't know where they're staring, maybe? They're just staring into the ocean. They're like, this is our future of events. And it's funny, right? It's like, where are we going? So that's image creation. And by the way, even though this is the list, we don't have time to go through all of them. So I've handpicked the ones that I think are the most relevant to you. The next one is education. So in mid-May, May 16th, OpenAI launched this video. I'll show it to you really quickly, and then I'll do the so what of why this matters for events.
Hey, my friend and I are learning Spanish, and we're wondering if you could tell us the names of these objects in Spanish.
Hola, pues ¿cómo está?
Cool. What are these objects in Spanish?
The objects you're showing are una manzana and un plátano in Spanish. Nice for choice.
Cool. What about these?
Those are dos polígrafos or dos plumas in Spanish.
That's right. Nice. What about this?
That adorable stuffed animal is un oso de peluche in Spanish. Looks like it's ready for some legs.
Wow.
Right? Wow is right, yeah. And I was like, okay, like pretty cool. Obviously, there are implications on this for our kids, right? Like in the past, I would have had, as a parent, to pay for a tutor for language. Now it's just like right there. It's like, teach me Spanish, teach me Chinese, teach me whatever, right? French. And that was fascinating. And then I was like, okay, well, what would that look like for event experiences? And how many of you use Interprify? We talked a little bit about that last night. Okay, so like 5 people in the room, right? So that's Interprify. I'll show it to you in a bit, but it's live captioning and automated speech recognition. So as someone's speaking, you could have something on the bottom that says either A, just the captions, or B, if I don't speak English, we're in a francophone, or not in a francophone country, we're in a bilingual country, right? So French oftentimes comes up. And so you might be able to now plug in just an AirPod and have it live just translate as, so it just reduces the friction in terms of accessibility. Pretty cool. And there's actually a lot more that I think this will start to do, especially if you can not only recognize images and tell you live, but also start to recognize faces, right? So it's like, oh, you met John at the conference. Would you like to connect with him, right? So there's this personalized curation that you can start to move towards for your attendees. Productivity, here's where I think most of the value comes in. And for those of you ChatGPT aficionados, right, this will feel quite familiar. But BCG did a study last year and they said, hey, what happens for the people who do tasks with GPT versus those who don't? And that was green versus blue. And then what happens when you start to coach people on that a little bit more, and that's the red. And so the quality just shoots up in terms of the output of your tasks. But I asked ChatGPT, I said, you are a world-class business coach, and your client is me. I'm an event planner. What I'd like to do is I'd like to upload my conference budget for 2024. So I uploaded one of my events that I'm running for PMI. And I said, hey, can you take a look at this conference budget and just give me a few like top 3 insights and recommendations? And I'm hearing it. Is that amazement I hear? Yeah, awesome. Oh, fear. Okay. Fear, amazement, same thing, right? And so it starts to give me recommendations. And I've started using it, so I'm a small business owner too, and I started to get it to coach me live on my business, whether I'm driving to work or something like that, just to get insights. And you'll notice with this one insight, it's talking about revenue growth. It's like, hey, you're gonna grow your ticket sales by 17% next year, and you probably need 2 to 3 sponsors if you're gonna hit your revenue targets. And that's just the start, right? So this is just for this example. This is ChatGPT, yeah. And by the way, feel free to ask questions. Yeah. But I started to ask, like, okay, dig more into that. Like, what does that mean? That doesn't tell me enough information. And you'll notice here that it's like, well, your 2023 budget for revenue, for ticket sales and sponsorships was about 100 grand. And your budget for 2024 is 140. Is it okay if I switch out this clicker, by the way? It's, the battery's dying. As I click red. And so one of the things that it starts to get me to think is that realistic? A 41K jump in, thank you so much. Thanks, Morgan. A 41K jump in growth? If I was planning an event, I would start to want to dig into that, right? And so it allows me to start to dig into my own events on a personalized basis pretty quickly. So that's revenue, right? And then you think about expenses. So if I'm bumping up my ticket sales for this year and sponsorship by that much, what about the expenses? Is that driving a lot of the pieces? And there's this notion of oh, actually your budget's increasing because venue and catering is projected to grow by 30% or whatever it is. But this starts to get you to think, how do I not navigate my business alone? Right? I've got a business coach right by me who can analyze my data, my events, right, as I go through it, which is pretty cool. This is much better. Oh my gosh, Morgan, can we give it up for Morgan? Thank you so much. Right, and so it can just analyze ongoing basis, right? It's like, hey, heads up, your venue and catering is up by 40%. I heard something about a rig cost going up earlier, yeah. Whatever it is, can we then mitigate, if we were to buffer that? So it starts you having to explore that. But beyond analysis, it's actually getting quicker and quicker and quicker at demonstrating visualization of your data. So if I was to pop in a same Excel, I might say, hey, visualize this. I don't like it. Visualize it. I don't like that one. Visualize it. Isn't that cool? Like where you can just have a visual dashboard of live how your event's doing, and if your budget's changing, you can quickly identify what's important. I was talking to, Yemi's like, don't call me out this morning. Yemi, I was talking to Yemi last night, and he's like, yeah, one of the ways I use AI is through meeting assistants. And so if those of you who haven't used meeting assistants yet, here's an example of one. This is supernormal.ai. It's the one that I pay for. One thing that I like is that it tailors the meeting notes that it sends to you based on your role. So I can say that, hey, I'm a speaker, or I'm an event planner, or I am the hotel, right? Like, what would I care about in the meeting minutes or the meeting notes? And it just sends a meeting minutes out to everybody right after. Yeah, so here's just a snapshot of different examples of platforms that you could use. One of the ones that I do want to shout out as we move towards inclusivity, removing gender bias, is Equal Time. Some of you have meetings where someone talks 70% of the time, and that's not great. So what it does is it identifies what the split is of who's talking the most. Maybe it's you, and that's like oh my gosh, I should watch it. Or it could give you insights like, hey, out of everyone who spoke, 60% were men the entire time. And that might be helpful too, right? So based on that, meeting assistants are really helpful. Now, these are all like disruptive technologies, but I would almost argue that they will also get disrupted, right? These are really cool features. I don't see myself paying for Supernormal beyond the next 2 years. And I think that the disruptors will be disrupted because something like a meeting assistant, like Supernormal, right? It's a really good product feature, but long-term, I can easily see Zoom or Teams or Google Meet buying one of these, integrating it, and saying like, yeah, it's part of our offering. Here you go, it's free, right? And so there's this question of even as everyone is getting disrupted, how do you continually innovate?